If you clicked on this video, you're probably familiar with the Kizer drop bear. This is one of Kizer's first attempts at the infamous crossbar lock, made popular by the big boy Benchmade. The drop bear is a few years old now, and due to its popularity, Kizer is continuing to release new versions every few months. There was the original, this one here, then there was the budget variants, then special editions, the utility knife model, and even a fixed blade bearing the same name. So why is the drop bear so popular? It's simple. Just look at the knife here. It's basic. No crazy design language, nothing crazy. Just a simple, comfortable, smooth handle, and more importantly, ridiculously smooth action. For a while, this was my favorite knife in my collection, even beating out knives that cost 2 to 3 times the price. In fact, this was my very first knife over the $100 mark. I even swapped out the pocket clip and changed the thumb stud. This was my crown jewel. I held it in such high regard, I even had this in my pocket for 4 different weddings I attended. Yet now, years later, I'm actually approaching my own wedding date later this April. As I always carry a knife, this day would not be any different. Yet I wanted to have a knife that would be special. A knife that I could carry on anniversaries and hopefully pass down to my future children. Now, looking for a knife for a special occasion is tough. I wanted something classy and timeless. I first picked up this Monterey Bay Knives Old Guard in titanium as I had the budget model and I just loved it. And though it's a really great knife, it just didn't feel like the right fit. So I pivoted. Then I picked up this Lion Steel Dom Barlow with titanium bolsters and ram horn handles. I thought it was really classy, but my fiance absolutely hated it and could not believe how ugly it was. So I had an idea. I asked her what she liked. I let her poke around my knife case and kept hearing, nope, nope, nope. And then I heard, ah, and she pulled out my trusty drop bear. She said, I really love this one, but I wish it didn't have anything like this, pointing to the crossbar lock and the holes in the handle. I just could not believe it, as the Kizer Drop Bear Zero was just released a few mere days ago, which is the exact same knife, just without any hardware showing. I quickly pulled up a listing for the new Drop Bear Zero, and she said, yes, that's perfect. So now with her blessing, I pulled the trigger, and this arrived a few days later. So how does this compare to the OG? Looking at them side by side, they're very similar. Same shape, though missing the small cutout near the thumb stud, and this changes the crossbar lock for a top liner lock, and more importantly, lacks any visible hardware, including screw holes and even the pivot. All of this stuff is actually under the handles, and it makes the knife look incredibly clean and sleek. This keeps aluminum handles, but as you can see, there's no pivot screw, no lanyard hole, no body screws, and even the screw to keep the pocket clip on is even hidden here at the back. Under the pocket clip, there's a single screw that I'm guessing holds most of this together. This also upgrades the blade steel from 154 cm to M390, which is a pretty large jump up. And what's cool about this blade is that it lacks any markings whatsoever. No large Kizer billboarding on the blade, no steel type, no maker's mark, just absolutely nothing. I think it looks so much classier this way, and I wish more knives would come this way, but I understand why they can't do that. Instead, all the information on this knife is actually hidden down here in the handle. I cannot begin to express how much I enjoy the look of this knife. Hiding all the hardware just elevates this so much, and it makes it look just that much more premium. Yet, to be honest, I'm not a fan of every change. For one, we swap out the crossbar lock for this top liner lock. This is only my second experience with a knife with a lock like this, and don't get me wrong, I like it, but not sure I enjoy it as much as I like a crossbar lock. For one, the original drop bear here has the best action out of my entire collection. For some reason, the action on this drop bear is just out of this world. It's so smooth and satisfying, and so good, I end up comparing all my crossbar locks against this very knife. The action is unfortunately nowhere near as crisp as the OG. It's still smooth, but sometimes I can find myself not having the button pressed all the way down and it won't sit flush in the handle. It doesn't happen every time, but it's founded enough that it's a little bit frustrating and annoying. Don't let that take anything away, as I believe it's just mainly user error. It's still super easy to deploy using the thumb studs, and even though you can deploy the blade using the button, it's not as satisfying as the crossbar lock. It's also worth noting that this button is only on one side, so it's not as friendly as the crossbar lock either. Since we covered the main hitters, there are still a few smaller things I wanted to highlight. First is the pocket clip. It's deep carry and unfortunately steel instead of titanium, but it's still a perfectly serviceable clip. It's nothing fancy, but it does the job. Due to how this clip works, it's screwed on in the back, and having this be a new design, Kizer actually came out with a brand new look. It's an interesting design as it starts wide and gets skinnier as it goes. I love that they didn't add any branding on the clip, as they easily could have, but it keeps it still looking clean. I would have really liked to see a titanium clip, but it's still alright. Another thing is we lose the lanyard hole, such as on the original drop bear, but you can actually add a lanyard as there's a hidden lanyard post here in the back. Another interesting thing is this new Zero model has different jimping. On the original, Jimping runs almost the entire length of the spine, while on the Zero, the jimping is split into two different sections. The jimping on the Zero is also larger and not as rough and aggressive on the original drop bear. I honestly don't prefer one over the other, but I thought it was interesting that this was changed. The only other thing to talk about is the price. You can find the original drop bear, the 154 cm and aluminum scales, for anywhere from $80 to $100 right now. You can also find the budget versions with Nitro V for around $50 to $60. Yet this drop bear Zero comes with a premium blade steel and premium construction. And of course, all that carries a nice premium. As of the time of recording, the Zero is coming in around $120. It's definitely a nice chunk of change as the knife market is so competitive right now. But I think it's a pretty good value. You get M390 blade steel, aluminum handles, and more importantly, this blank, clean look. It looks classy and premium, yet the price of entry isn't as steep as I feel like it could be. I honestly thought this would be closer to the $150 mark when it was first announced, and I'm really happy it was a bit cheaper than that. If you love the drop bear look and want the ultimate premium version, this might be it. If you just want a drop bear without the fancy extras, you can skip this version and save a few bucks and snag one of the more basic variants. Overall, the Drop Bear Zero is the perfect final evolution for one of my favorite knives of all time. This knife has been such an important part of my hobby. It was the first knife I purchased over $100. It was one of the first knives I even covered on the channel. It was the knife I've carried throughout important occasions such as weddings, dates, formal functions, etc. And now, this will be the knife that will be in my pocket as I marry the love of my life. It's just kind of wild how these things work out. So I guess the big question is now, what else? What else is there in store for the Drop Bear to turn into? It's hard to think what else this model has in store, but all I know is I'm excited to find out. So what's your thoughts on this newest Drop Bear? Is this something you'd carry? How do you like the hidden hardware and the clean blank look? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.